Hello, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is your data buddy, Kingsley. Today, I brought you some amazing topic in Excel and, of course, Power Query. So let us dive in and dig at what is in there. Imagine yourself as a data analyst, and you, of course, know how to organize your things, make them look neat, just like I have organized and color coded these tabs from January up to the month of June. This represents our monthly data set from our patients in the healthcare sector. And you're used to doing this, and this, of course, looks neat and impressive. I like how organized it is. Or perhaps your method is doing this where you have or the same tabs, but this time around arranged in different workbooks, no longer in sheets. This is also a neat work. All of a sudden, your boss comes and said, please, we need to make a consolidated patient analysis over time. In other words, we need to consolidate all the sheets from in your workbook or all the workbooks, bring them together as one so as to perform a comprehensive analysis. And what we need to target in them is tracking recurrence diagnosis. In this, we identify patients who have been treated for some conditions multiple times over a period of time. The second KPI we want to measure here is treatment effectiveness. And in this, we want to monitor whether the prescribed treatments are improving patients' outcome over time. And the last thing we want to measure is patients' load and trend. We will identify seasonal trends such as more patients being diagnosed with respiratory disease during winter and all those. So these are the things we want to analyze from our patients' record. And to do this, we need to consolidate all our data into one from the multiple sheets that we already have. Next, you begin to imagine, okay, how do I go about this? Don't worry, I have your back because Excel has always got our back. Now, with this, I introduced you to a function in Excel known as VSTACK. So, what does VSTACK do? Let's go to the documentation. This is the documentation of VSTACK function in Excel. And in a simple term, it says it appends arrays vertically and in a sequence to return a larger array. Take note of that. Appends array. It does that vertically, top to bottom, in a sequence. And when it is done, it returns a larger array. Now, these single arrays represent our different sheets, and the consolidated sheets will represent the larger array. I hope that makes sense now. All right, so let's dive in and start working on it. To do that, I will click and create a new one, and let's name it Patients Analysis. All right. The next is simple. Just go in and start typing VStack. That's the VStack function, and I'll pick it. I'll go to my first array. That's January. Okay, so I will need to pick the range where I want the data to be. This is the range, the first one. I'll hold my Control Shift key, arrow right to get the range to the right and to the bottom, arrow left. And yes, we have it. Now, having gotten it, the next is to get them across all the arrays. So I will hold my Shift key and click on the last array, which is June. By so doing, all the arrays in between, all the months in between will be selected. Excellent. So I have done that. Next is to close my function, and I am happy. We got everything, and you can see them easily. This is for January, and this is for February up to the month of June. So now let's do this. You notice we have the first row has the field name, the column name, or the field name as you may, and then we have them again. We just have them repeated, and this is not good practice. That messes our work up. So I try to delete them, and I'm not able to delete. Why? That's because it's all tied up to the function. So this, of course, it's not effective. Now let's move in and find a way, a much more effective way to handle this. I'm going to create a new one. I'll name it accordingly, patient analysis. Remember, you don't need to do all of them. All you need to do is to follow the standard practice. Patience analysis one. But instead of starting my VSTACK from this point, I will first of all create a static header. So I will create my static field and I'm happy with this. Now that means I don't need to repeat this static field. So next I'll start from row 2. Good. So let's go in and bring our VSTACK function. Then go to January. You know how we did it. But this time around, I will start from the second row as I did from the consolidated data. So from here, I will hold my Control Shift keys and arrow key to the left and then to the bottom. So I have that. Now all I need to do is to do it across the arrays. You know how we did it? And yeah, I'm happy. The next is to close it. Enter. Then we have this, you see? This makes more sense. January, February. Okay, this is neat. This is nice. Now notice that this really works well because we have this number of data. We have 21 for February. But notice when we scroll down, we also have 21 for March. But when we scroll down to April, we only have just 20. We don't have the 21st one. The same thing for May and up to June. So instead of keeping them empty, Excel decided to add 0, and that's how the function works. So, but this is not efficient. Now, in reality, what happens is different months will definitely come up with different number of transactions, and because of that, we need to anticipate and create room for more rows for each of the months. So now looking at my data, I understand that I have an average of 21 rows in a month. So in the subs going forward, I may not have up to 100. So I will just peg it at 100. So what it means that I will create room for up to 100 rows. So that should there be any month where I have more than just this 21, it will my analysis will accommodate everything. And that is actually how to make this dynamic. Okay, so let's create that. To do that is simple. If you notice, you'll find out that this I21 stands for the I column and then the number 21. I22, sorry, up to here, that's what it means. It stands for I and then number 22 up to here. Now, what I want to do is to increase this 21 to 100, 22 to 100. This way, I will be able to give more rooms. And when I click on enter, I have more rooms. But this does not look clean at all. But I have been able to create this room successfully, but it doesn't look clean at all. What do I do next? I need to take away this, yet still give that room. I don't want to see these zeros, but yet I still want that room to be there. This is where we bring in filter function. What I want the filter function to do is to return this value, return this function, if a certain condition is met. And what is the condition? Now, in every data set, there usually should be a particular field or column that cannot be empty. And most times we call that the primary field or the primary key. It just cannot be empty. It is a unique identifier. So find the unique identifier in your data set, your Excel, and use that as a reference field to say, return me these data sets only where the unique identifier is not 0. Again, return this data set where the unique identifier is not 0. And that's what we want to do. And the unique identifier to us here is the patient's field or the patient's ID. So since it is the patient's ID, we want the patient's ID to be here. So the patient's ID is in column A. So I'll change that I to A in our. So I change the I to A in our function. And what A is supposed to do is I say when it is not equal to, this is how to write not equal to empty. That's how to write put empty in Excel, and I'll close my function. So what happened is return only this function, which is our original data, when this particular condition, and this condition means this row is not empty. That's the only one it should return. If it is empty, don't return the side that is empty. That's what this function does. And I will go and enter it, and yes, all the zeros are gone. Check them out. We don't have any zero again. And that is neat. So what that means is if we come to June, where we have 20 and add a new field, I'm going to duplicate this, add a new field, name this 21, just 21, and leave every other thing like as it is. Now, if we go back to our analysis, you see that field is there, and that's dynamic because it created room for up to 100. It's now able to pick up any number you add to it. And remember, if there become a time when this number is more than 100, all you need to do is to go to the function and increase it. That's all you need to do. All right, so this is the first scenario. And this first scenario is when you have all your sheets in one workbook. And this scenario is very popular amongst businesses and data analysts who analyze data in Excel. Now, the second scenario is like it. We still have our data in the sheets, but this time around, we don't want to use the function VSTACK. We want to use something else that is even much more dynamic and little or no function or code. So let's dive into the world of Power Query. All right. So if you don't know Power Query, I will advise that you learn it because that tool is a game changer for Excel and Power BI. So let's click here, add a new sheet. I will name it Patient Analysis 2. All right. I'm happy with that. Now, we don't have any business here anymore. So what I need to do is to go straight to data, the data tab, and on this ribbon, I want to go to get data. And I want to get data from a workbook, which is this same workbook we're using. So get data from it. Where are you? Our data set is in healthcare. Let's go up a little. Good. This is our data set. We'll bring it in. Now, as we imported it, you will see it's loading. Good. Now we have our data. This is from January till June, and of course it's labeled alphabetically. So let's pick January only. You could choose to select all of them if you want, but we're not doing that. We just want to select one, and others will flow easily. And then go to transform. Power Query Editor interface or window has opened for us, and this has automatically done some steps for us. The steps are by the right here. Okay, so I don't want you to do any step for us. Let's go up there. Now this is where we are. All right, so this is the level of the data source. It went to this data source up here and brought this data, and this data has, can you see how it automatically also took note of all the other months? It has January up to June. Now, so it accesses the tab hidden. Know what kind of data is a sheet. They are sheets. Now, what I want to do is to delete these ones. I don't need them, these columns. Select one, hold my shift key and select the other. Right click and remove columns. Good, I have removed them. I want to still leave this here. So I'll come in here and expand this. Click here and expand it. You can see it has given us name for the fields, column 1 up to column 6. So it asks, do you want to use the original column name as prefix? That means data dot column 1, data dot column 2. Not necessary because I will not, in the long run, we don't even need it. Said okay, and then we have this column 1 up to column 9. Okay, so we're happy, but then we have an issue here. You notice we have field names up here, and we also have them here. Can you see? Just like it was repeated in Excel. So let's handle this. First, I want this first column names to be my main column name instead of this. So I'll come up here, use first row as header. Click on it. That's all I needed to do. And then I'm happy. But remember, this is still written January, so I just need to right click, double click on it and change it to months. Okay, so I'm happy with what I have done. However, we still have these names, the field names being repeated here. So all we need to do is to come in here on the patient ID, which is our unique identifier, click on it, then scroll down to the bottom and filter it out. When I deselect it, it filters out, and that way everything around it will disappear. And that is it. That's all we need to do. There's no other thing. And it's all gone and ready for us. And we need to load. I want to close and load it to this table that is open, this sheet that is open. And it's going to come up in form of table. I created a new sheet for us. Sorry. Okay. And this is so Beautiful. So I can now rename this patient analysis. Okay, let's name it 3. All right, so and you see how clean this, and from this point, you can go ahead and start doing your analysis. All right, so that is it about the second scenario, and it's nice, it looks good, it's beautiful. So this is really cool. Now, the next case scenario is, imagine a scenario where you have data. These data sets are in different Excel files. In this situation, you want to load all your Excel file into one Excel sheet or into one Excel workbook. That's also another way to consolidate your data. But in this case, everything is in a folder. They are not in different sheets, they are in different workbooks. And you want to bring them together into one consolidated file. So in this case, all we want to do is to get all this data, which is in this folder, this healthcare folder, and move them into Excel through Power Query. All right, so let's go and do that. So I'm going to create a new sheet. I will name it Patient Analysis. All right, I'll name it the fourth one, Patient Analysis, or doesn't matter what you name it. So from this blank sheet, I will go to data and get data. Now from files, instead of getting from workbook, I want to go down and get from folder. So I will click on the folder opening. Now I will go to the folder where I have my data set. I'll go to healthcare. It's not in this folder. This is where it is in this folder. I will just click on the folder. There is no need to double click. We already know that this data is in the folder I'm going to show you. This data is in this folder. However, because we are getting folder, if I double click on this, I don't see anything, because what we are asking Excel to get us is folder, not Excel sheet. Get us everything in a folder. So that's why you're not seeing the data set that were here. All right. The only thing you can see is folder. So let's move to one level up and just click once on this and open it. So, and that is the data. Now, when you look at this, it is just a sample of the data. And you will notice all the data we have from 2023 data, from 2023 January to 2023 December, and all the data is complete. Next, all we need to do is to come in here, combine. We can decide to combine and transform the data, combine and load, or combine and load the data wherever we want. Let's keep it simple. Combine, click on combine and load. And this pop up a new window, and this window is telling us, notice that it's trying to combine our sheet, but it wants to combine it from the first file. That's why you see the sample file here, first file. When you click on it, you will see the other files, but the sample file is what we're using. That's the first file, it's taking the first file, and I'll click on this sheet, which is actually the name of the sheet from the first file. It's named sheet 1, and you will see the data here. All right, so all I need to do is to click OK and consolidate all my data set from January to December into one. And that is it. Beautiful, simple, and well structured. I'm going to close this window by the side. I don't need it. And this is everything. Let's click here to check it out. And let's go down and you'll see up to 12. And everything is there. Very simple. All right. So I don't necessarily need this. I don't need this column. So all I just need is to click and delete this column. And this is all I need. And it's so clean. That is how simple it is. So in this video, I have explained to you how to use the VSTACK to consolidate all your data in different sheets into one sheet. I've also explained to you how to use Power Query to consolidate all the multiple sheets into one sheet. And I've also explained to you how to consolidate all your different workbooks into one workbook. And it is simple, clean, and straight to the point. All right, guys, if you get value in this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up and remember to share it. Don't just consume it alone. Share it with anyone you know that will benefit from it. These are real life scenario. I am not teaching you things you will not use at work. These are things you use every day at work. So please share it to anyone that you believe will get value from this video. And to my returning subscribers, you are the MVP. Thank you for believing in me. And I will see you in another video.